Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Namaste Experience. How's everybody feeling today?
Great
Awake and ready. That was a pop quiz. Just to make sure. Just to make sure. Let me mute everybody here. Okay. So we've been feeling the awakened presence of Ramana Maharshi. I keep wanting to say Maharishi. Ramana Maharshi. And who cares what the name is anyway? It could be Ravi, it could be Jeff. It's all the same thing, and I think that's really the point, isn't it? It's all the same. Love is the same. God is one. And it's the experience, the deep experience of that we're not only seeking, but we are enjoying, even if we don't realize that we are enjoying it. That's a beautiful thing. Even if you don't realize it, it's already there. The real is forever real, as we say in our opening prayer every day. So I'm going to share another final quote from Ramana, and then I'm going to tell a couple of stories that I think will illustrate this. So this is from Ramana Maharshi. Liberation is our very nature. We are that. The fact that we wish for liberation shows that freedom from all bondage is our real nature. It is not to be freshly acquired. All that is necessary is to get rid of the false notion that we are bound. When we achieve that, there will be no desire or thought of any sort. There will be no desire or thought of any sort. So long as one desires liberation, as long as one wants to be liberated, one is in bondage. Oh dear. That's very direct.
What's the difference between desire and longing?
So Scott asked the question, what is the difference between desire and longing? I don't know if there is a difference or not. And people have sometimes said things like, but if I desire something that I already am, or if I'm longing for something that I already am, doesn't that negate the experience that I already am? That I am that. That seems to be a little bit of an intellectual gymnastics move, that though it's true, it's not practical, because it's the longing for the experience that gives us the propulsion to do whatever it takes to have that experience. It doesn't mean that you don't have it already. It means that you're longing to be in the experience rather than just the intellectual idea of having it already. You know, I've mentioned this before, that when you were young and you were in high school maybe, and it was the first time that you ever were in love or you had a crush, and you would sit there on that corded phone, you know, that phone in your house that had the really long cord, and you would pull that cord into the closet, and you would close it just part way, so that people like Jed are asking, what the hell is he talking about? What's a cord on a phone? But you'd close it so that, and you'd sit there in the dark, and you would hardly even say a word to your beloved. You would just sit there and listen to each other breathe. That's what we're talking about. You know that this person is wholly with you. You know that this person loves and adores you, and you love and adore them, but you want to enjoy that adoration. And that's why most of the yogis say that bhakti yogi, or devotional yogi, is the highest form of yoga. It's the devotion and the love and the longing for that which is wholly devoted to and longing for me. Okay? So I hope that answered your question.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jim.
So I want to tell a couple of stories about liberation and bondage, because that's what Ramana was talking about. Some of you have heard these before, but I think that they bear re-mentioning. The first is a story about a prisoner who has been locked in a cell for many, many years. And that door, this huge metal door, is always shut and locked. He never goes outside. There's no opportunity for him to step outside this cell whatsoever. The only thing that happens all day is there is a very, very large guard, massive man, who comes in every day, opens up this huge door, and sets down a plate of food, and then leaves. Well, this prisoner has been in the prison for so long, and he knows that he's about to lose his mind. So he says, I would rather die trying to escape than be in this cell for another day. That is how strong his determination is. So he decides that he's going to stand behind this door, and when this guard comes in, even though he's much, much larger than the prisoner, he's going to do whatever he can to overpower him and escape. And more than likely, he's going to be killed in this attempt. But he doesn't care. Once again, he'd rather have that to happen than to spend one more day. So he gets ready because he knows it's almost time for the guard to come. And he kind of leans against the door. And suddenly the door starts to crack open. And he's very surprised, and he doesn't know if the door just hadn't been locked or what the situation is. So he steps up and he looks out, and he sees the guard at the end of this hallway. The guard smiles at him, nods his head, and the prisoner walks out and looks around, wondering if there are any other guards that are going to stop him. No one comes, and he steps out of the prison into the light. Why? The door was always open. It was never locked. He was convinced in his own mind that he was a prisoner, when in reality he was always free. He just had to lean against the door. So the question is, how are we leaning against the door of our prison cell? This is where that desire and that longing comes in. Are we willing to lean toward freedom? And in doing so, to realize that we've always been free. In fact, I'm looking back here at the Course in Miracles lesson of the day. I didn't even check this out, but it says, Father, my freedom is in you alone. My freedom is in you alone. That has some potency to it. So that's the first story I wanted to tell you. The second is one of my favorites. This came to me a number of years ago, and I've shared it before, but I think it's a wonderful illustration to help us understand what we mean when we say that this world, the entire world, is one great perceptual prison. Or you could say an insane asylum. Looking around, watching the news today, you could make a good argument for that. It's gone insane. So this is a story about a man who has been condemned to this prison for the rest of his life. But it's not an ordinary prison like we would think of a prison. In fact, when he first comes in, there's kind of a receiving room, and he is put under as some kind of given some sort of an injection that makes him forget everything that has ever happened to him before. He doesn't remember anything, but when he wakes up, he's in this world. And this world that he finds himself in is huge. And there are towns and villages and communities and bars and restaurants. Some of these villages and towns that he visits are really beautiful. And the people are really, really very kind and interesting. And then there are other places that he goes to that are kind of scary. The people are not so friendly. And he learns almost immediately that there is only one rule in this prison that he finds himself in. At the very edge of the prison, there's a wall, a huge wall that goes all the way around, many, many miles all the way around. And in front of the entire wall, about 20 feet or so in front of it, there is a yellow stripe, a yellow line. And there are guards on the wall with big guns. And the rule is you can never step across that yellow line. And if you do, it's not going to be good. Everyone knows this. Everyone follows this rule. Well, one day, as this prisoner is walking near the wall, not daring to step over the line, but walking near the wall, something very strange happens. A rock comes flying over the top of the wall, and it lands at his feet. And he notices that there is a piece of paper tied to the rock. So he picks up the rock and he unravels the string and looks at this piece of paper. And the piece of paper says, God is love, and therefore so am I. That's interesting. He feels something when he reads it, but he doesn't know really what it means. So he continues on. He goes back and he visits some of the towns that he's made some friends in, avoiding the places that are kind of scary and dark. But then a few days later, again, he's walking along near that yellow line when suddenly another rock comes flying over the top of the wall with a piece of paper. So he picks up the rock, unravels the piece of paper, and it says, nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. Wow. Once again, he doesn't quite know what this means, but he feels something moving inside him whenever he reads these pieces of paper, which, by the way, he's stuffing in his pocket. And every day now he goes for the same walk, and every single day one of these rocks comes flying over the top with a piece of paper, with another piece of wisdom. And now his pockets are overflowing with this. And everything that he's read has given him the strength and the courage to do the unthinkable. He wonders what's on the other side of that wall. Someone must be there, because someone has been throwing these rocks with these amazing messages. So he decides to risk everything. And he takes one step over that yellow line, thinking that if he does, this may very well be the end, because he sees the soldiers up on top of the wall with their big rifles. He takes one step, keeping the other foot still outside just in case he has to step back, but nothing happens. So he gets up his courage again and he puts the other foot over. Now he's completely on the other side of the yellow line. Once again, nothing happens. So he takes a couple of tentative steps toward the wall, expecting that someone's going to see him, someone's going to do something. I mean, this rule, this very strong law has been in place from the beginning. No one has ever dared to step across that yellow line. But still, nothing happens. And this is when he looks at the wall and he sees the faint outline of what seems to be light on the other side. So he walks up to the wall finally and touches it. And this door opens. And he sees this bright light. And he sees in that light that one who has been throwing the rocks over the wall. Maybe it's Jesus, maybe it's Ramana, maybe it's whoever it is you want it to be. But it's that whole mind, the one who is free, who has been reminding you of your freedom, and the prisoner steps out of the prison into the light. I love that story because it illustrates for us the wisdom that is coming to us from the other side of that wall. We could take A Course in Miracles, for example. Maybe the piece of paper tied to a rock that flew across or over the wall today simply said, Father, my freedom is in you alone. Today's lesson. Or maybe it's something else. But whatever it is, it's going to be something that reminds you that the prison that you believe that you have been held to is all in your mind. So knowing all of that, with those two stories, let me read this beautiful quote from Ramana Maharshi one more time. Liberation is our very nature. We are that. The very fact that we wish for liberation shows that freedom from all bondage is our real nature. It is not to be freshly acquired. All that is necessary is to get rid of the false notion that we are bound. When we achieve that, there will be no desire or any thought of any sort. So long as one desires liberation, one is in bondage. So let's turn to Vicky, and we'll see what she wants to add to this beautiful teaching on liberation.
Why, thank you, Brother James. Good morning, everybody. First, I have to tell you, I had to go watch a Star Trek.
Vicky, hold on a second. We can't hear you here. Can the rest of you hear Vicky? If you can't, put your
On
thumb up.
Zoom,
Okay.
you can hear me? Okay. Can you hear me yet, James? Are we good? No sound. Sound on Zoom.
It wouldn't be there, wouldn't it be here?
You would be here. You would be there.
Would it?
Because he moved the cable.
Oh, you moved the cable. I tell you what, let me just remove the this altogether, and I'll put the microphone up so we can hear it. Namaste.
Okay.
That's always our fallback.
All right.
1 second.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, Vicky. We can hear you now.
All right. Thank you, Brother James. So first thing I wanted to tell you, I had to go watch a Star Trek yesterday and all day yesterday and today. Vicky to Bridge, Vicky to Bridge, Vicky to Bridge. And it's, you know, it just shifts me because it's simple and it's true. Vicky to Bridge, Vicky to my father, Vicky to freedom. It's like Rumi's famous, I'm not going to say this correctly, but you all know Rumi's poem. Beyond right and wrong and good and bad, there is a field and I'll meet you there. And that's the field that's not in the prison. Everything else, the good towns, the bad towns, in the prison. But that field that Rumi's talking about, that those notes around the stone are talking about, is just beyond judgment. If that's all it is, what restricts us? What is the thing that keeps us in prison? Our ideas. And they're all ideas of good or bad or right or wrong or lack or loss. Those are all ideas that are all not so, all of them, the good and the bad. That's why healthy body, sick body, we're not bodies. And liberation is in that field. And what happens is when we're willing to let go of all of it and be willing not to know, just be like children, be willing not to know, to rest into, I don't know, show me, I don't know. And that's what we have, what we do every day here. And there are little and big pockets all over time and space now that are resting in that, knowing that the only field to meet in is that field of love, because love does not call anything good or bad, right or wrong. Love wholly includes, accepts unconditionally. Love isn't something we do, it's something we are. We don't do love, we are it. I got another correction though yesterday. When I said I was in the Department of Merriment from JC Central, they told me it's the Department of Peace and Merriment, because when we're at peace with who we are as children of the light of God, joy is our natural extension. It emanates from us. That's why whether we're in our own little house by ourselves or we're in a big collective, whenever we are resting in the light that we are, We naturally, because love is what we are, extend, communicate, broadcast joy, merriment. We broadcast it. It's our natural state. And the only restriction is as soon as we come into something and say, oh no, this is bad, I'd rather have that. As soon as we just open and say, I don't know, I'll be open, I'll depend on love, I'll rest on love. Oh, I have another, this is a good one. This was a quote I had read earlier the week, and I have it exactly. This is a quote from my friend Teilhard de Chardin. It is our duty as men and women to proceed as though the limits of our abilities do not exist, right? Simple, just act as if like children do, except you be like a little child. Just go forth with the spontaneity of love being what we are. And if the spontaneity of love wants to rest, we rest, wants to sing, we sing. Just let it, it's Vicky calling the bridge. It's always that reconnection spot. What is love saying? What is the voice, the feeling, the experience of love prompting me in my whole being? That's the rock of the day. The prisoner on the other side of the wall, waiting for the rock every day, no matter what, he was in the prison. But when he took the rock and proceeded like there was no limit, crossing that line, why not? Just cross it, and finding that beyond that line of right or wrong, and just open space, open, here I am, resting, here I am, I don't know, I don't need to know, I need to be what I am. And that's the freedom of love. Love is calling every one of us, and we're hearing it, every one of us. We hear it, we're answering, and this is an outpicturing of us in time, hearing the call for love and freedom. Father, thy will be done, however we say it. I rest in God today, however we do it. If it, whatever it is that calls us from within, calls our heart to be at peace in the oneness that we are, that's love being activated on earth as it is in heaven. And that is happening right here, right now, in our morning party. So thanks, Brother James, and thank you, everyone. We are children of the light. We're here to demonstrate that just by being it, by being free, by our own ideas of limit and lack. Just don't pay them any mind. Pay no attention to them. It is that simple. And listen, because when we listen to love, it's always singing to us. And all of us, it may be just go have a cup of tea. It may be call a friend. But as we listen and follow, we have to follow. If we don't follow, we're shutting down the give of love. Love wants to give. It has to give, because love is a natural, it's creation. It's always extending. So we have to give. So when we listen to the prompts, we're giving and being the love, not doing anything loving. We're being that love. And we are spreading love into this seeming prison of right and wrong and good and bad. And it's all that simple. And as each of us does it and we join together in that simple purpose, all the lines around the prison start falling away. Okay, Brother James, thanks very much.
Thank you, Vicky. Thank you. Thank you. What a beautiful gift. I don't know if it's only Vicky has gone blank. Everybody put up their thumb if they can hear me. Not you guys. Okay. Looks like we're not online at the moment, but we'll see if we come back.
Hear you, James?
Yes, can you hear me, Scott?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. We can't see anybody, but oh, there you are. Well, this is perfect because it's time to turn it over to Scott and anyone who wants to stay in the Zoom room who would like to just kind of recap all the beautiful lessons that we shared during the week. You're very free to do that. In the meantime, let's just keep this knowledge and this understanding today, as is the quote that you shared from Pierre de Chardin. We have no limits. Let's live like that. Live as if there are no limits to us, because there aren't. We are free. We are ready. We are awake. So let's really live from that sacred space today. Sound good?
Yes.
So have a beautiful Friday. We will see you all on Monday, and many of you will be here for our Unity service on Sunday. And we say together, Amen, 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 y punto. And so-
Love you. See you Monday.